And thanks for staying with us here still on News Central Television. This is News Now. Let's take a look at the top stories right away for this hour. DHQ moves to stop Lukarawa's recruitment drive. Appeal Court sets U.S. Special Panel to address River State political cases. Hearing begins on Thursday. Unemployment rate deeps under South Africa's coalition government. Stay with us to get details of all of these stories. In a moment, I am Joe Hanson. Let's begin with security matters, where the Defense Headquarters has said the new terrorist group, Lukarawa, has begun a recruitment process to bolster its fighting capabilities. It, however, said the military was aware of the group's recruitment activities and working closely with other security agencies and the state government to halt the recruitment efforts. The DHQ had last Thursday confirmed the emergence of a new terrorist group known as Lukarawa in the northern region with operations in Sokoto and Kebbi states. The Director of Media Operations, Major General Edward Buba, said the terrorists began incursion into the northern parts of Sokoto and Kebbi states from the Niger Republic and Mali axis, particularly after the coup in the Niger Republic. He blamed residents of the region for accommodating the terrorists and failing to report their movements to the military and other security agencies. The Special Independent Investigative Panel on Human Rights Violations in Counter-Insurgency Operations in northeast Nigeria has dismissed claims of a secret and systematic illegal forced abortion program by the Nigerian Armed Forces. The panel, established by the Nigerian National Human Rights Commission, presented its findings, revealing that there is no substantial evidence to support the allegations reported by international media outlet Reuters in 2022. News Central's Lukarawa reports.
The battle to maintain peace in Nigeria's northeast and other parts of the country is continuing. In the early month of December 2022, Reuters reports that since 2013, a secret military program has involved terminating at least 10,000 pregnancies among women and girls, many of whom had been kidnapped and raped by Islamist militants, an allegation the Nigerian government has since denied. A Special Independent Investigative Panel on Human Rights Violations in Counter-Insurgency Operations on Northeast Nigeria presents its findings on the matter in a 214-page comprehensive report.
Reuters basing its allegations on the killing of children through a reconstruction that it did was not backed by evidence. The panel further notes that the refusal of the International Committee of the Red Cross to honor the invitation of the panel raises question as to its commitment to the values and principles it has always projected.
This report is more than a document. It is a testament to our enduring pledge to protect the rights of all Nigerians and promote a culture of accountability and reform.
The investigative panel noted that access to both military and hospital records have been a major challenge.
The report which we have presented has been a result of intensive work of the panel and its secretariat, encompassing 109 testimonies and a visit to 20 field locations.
These recommendations are not merely suggestions. They represent a pathway towards healing and rebuilding trust within our communities. We must work collectively to address the shortcomings identified.
They recommended some reforms, including investment in electronic health record system, the establishment of accountability mechanisms for human rights, a dedicated human rights unit in military formations. The panel also recommends that the federal government pays compensation to the victims of the killings in Abisari, in Marte local government, within 90 days, among others. In Maiduguri for News Central, Lukarawa.
Normalcy has been restored to the terminus area of Jos North local government area of Plateau State, where there was a bomb scare on Tuesday. News Central's Chizoba Nyongwe in Jos The Plateau State capital reports that the swift intervention of troops of Operation Safe Haven and the Niger Police Force helped to calm the situation by cordoning off the area before it was confirmed a bomb scare. Here's the report.
This is actually the spot where eyewitnesses told us that the police came in the morning to check and be sure that there was no bomb here. And at the end of the day, they also confirmed that there was no bomb.
It's been over 9 years since the last bomb explosion occurred in Plateau State, claiming lives and people's means of livelihood. Mr. Solomon Nwafo was at hand to give an eyewitness account of Tuesday's incident in Jos.
We were here in the morning. All of a sudden, we saw police people. They came, blocked the road. They asked us to remove our vehicles from here. We closed our shops. They were not actually forcing us out of this environment. Before we know it, there were so many, and then they started digging some place down there. As they were digging, one of them were able to tell us that there were some bombs scared. So maybe they got some information or they suspected something. So from there, they blasted something. They were the police would have blasted something to see if the bomb will kind of surface or something of that nature, which most of us ran away. But after they have done all they did, they opened up the place, they asked us to open our business, and the road was open.
Corroborating Mr. Nwafo's account on the incident, this is what the Plateau State Police Command had to say.
The EOD technicians were immediately deployed to the scene. They dug the place and discovered that nothing was inside the place. They carry all, they check everywhere and nothing. And they flush the hole, and as you can see, there's nothing. So, that's why I'm here, to assure members of the public that they should not be afraid. They should continue with their lawful business, and they should be going. There's nothing to fear about. All this well.
The state governor, while at an event in Jos, called on members of the public to always stay sensitive to their environments.
And I'm glad to inform everyone here that there was no bomb whatsoever. But it was good that people were sensitive, that they saw an object and they suspected that this object should be investigated. I think that is part of what we are called to do in society. Let's be sensitive to things around us. Let's be sensitive to movements around us. Let's be sensitive to comments around us.
While Tuesday's incident remains a scare and people now go about their lawful businesses, it is also a call on security agencies to remain alert for any form of breakdown of law and order in the state. In Jos for News Central, Chizoba Anyuwi.
Well, let's move to Edo State now, where Senator Monday Okpebholo has officially assumed office as the 5th democratically elected governor of Edo State, located in Nigeria's South-South region. He was inaugurated alongside his deputy, Dennis Idausa, by the Chief Judge of the state, Justice Daniel Okumboa, in a ceremony held at the Samuel Ogbemudia Stadium in Benin. News Central's Austin Azu covered the event, where President Bola Tinubu also used the occasion to call for national unity. Take a look at the report.
Governor Monday Okpebholo and Deputy Dennis Idausa took their oath of allegiance and office before Edo State Chief Judge, Justice Daniel Okumboa, at the Samuel Ogbemudia Stadium in Benin City. They pledged to uphold the Constitution, work within its boundaries, and prioritize the well-being of Edo citizens. Supporters cheered throughout the oath-taking ceremony, marking the beginning of a new administration.
Duly discharge of my duties as governor. Of my duty as governor. And that I will devote myself. That I will devote myself. To the service and well-being. Of the people of Nigeria. Of the people of Nigeria. So help me God. So help me God.
Following this, the governor expected a guard of honor provided by the Nigeria Police Force, decked in ceremonial attire, symbolizing authority and leadership. In his inaugural address, Okpebholo thanked residents for their support and votes in the September 21st governorship election, reaffirming his commitment to fulfilling his campaign promises. he pledged to tackle infrastructure challenges statewide and partnered with the federal government, private organizations and individuals to restore Edo State to its former heights of progress and development.
The welfare of our citizens is a top priority for us. To achieve this, we shall implement programs carefully outlined in my 5-point agenda, designed to grow a robust economic growth and improve the lives of our people. They are security, infrastructural and road development, affordable healthcare, water and food sufficiency, value-driven education across the state.
President Bola Tinubu, represented by Vice President Kashisha Timan, applauded Edo residents for their choice and underscored the need for unity, outlining the administration's efforts to realize its renewed hope agenda for all Nigerians.
I stand before you with confidence, knowing that we have weathered the hardest days as a nation. We have pulled back from the brink of economic collapse, and now we step forward into a time of growth.
Meanwhile, Edo residents shared their expectations for the new administration led by Governor of Okpebholo.
By taking up the motto of leadership in the infrastructural development, human capital development, and putting things right and making peace with people.
But security force in Edo State is not with AK-47 on passion. We are going to use our brain to make sure we secure Edo people. And I believe with us, Edo State is going to be well secured.
And I wish the best to the governor to do more. And he should not segregate and not compromise.
With the inauguration over, the issue of governance will remain a puzzle for the governor and his deputy to solve in the days ahead. In Benin, for News Central, I'm Austin Azu.
Meanwhile, the newly sworn-in Governor of Edo State, Monday Okpebholo, is set to investigate the administration of his predecessor, Godwin Obaseki. He announced that he would establish a panel of inquiry to examine the previous administration's refusal to inaugurate 14 elected lawmakers of the State House of Assembly in 2019. These 14 lawmakers elected on the All Progressives Congress platform in the 7th Assembly were denied inauguration under Obaseki's administration. Okpebholo disclosed the planned investigation during his inaugural address shortly after taking the oath of office as governor on Tuesday at the Samuel Okpebholo Stadium in Benin City. In the meantime, the Court of Appeal in Abuja has established a special 3-member panel to address political cases from River State, with hearings set to commence on Thursday, 14 November. This development follows rising legal disputes due to tensions between Governor Siminalayi Fubara and his predecessor, Nyesom Wike, now the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory. The feud has sparked a wave of legal actions within the state, causing divisions among political actors and resulting in contradictory rulings from courts of equal jurisdiction, issue that has prompted concern from both judicial stakeholders and the public. To bring order to these proceedings, Court of Appeal President Justice Monica Dongba Mensem has appointed a panel to manage all appeals linked to the political crisis in River State. Earlier, we're joined by legal practitioner Henry Ikene to help us understand this situation.
Of the judiciary, particularly the Court of Appeal, to be clearly focused on the avoidable political crisis in River State. That's for the first consideration. I think for me, this clear demonstration of the concern, I would say, that Rivers indigents and residents have expressed and deep worries about how the judiciary has handled it. So that's one. But clearly, whether this will make any change or any difference in what the issues are, I think we're going to watch and then see what the outcomes of the hearings and then the decisions in the respective appeals would be. Because to the best of my knowledge, at the last count, one of the matters, fortunately I was in Abuja in the Court of Appeal, there were about 13 cases already before the Court of Appeal, if there are not more at this moment. So to have constituted a panel, a special panel that will be focused on considering all of these appeals, and then making informed and decisive decisions with the issues that are surrounding the contestations in the River State House of Assembly, principally. I think that's commendable.
Nigeria's House of Representatives has tasked the nation's anti-corruption agency, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, to ensure transparency and accountability in its war against graft. The chairman of the House Committee on Financial Crimes made this known during an oversight visit to the Commission's headquarters in Abuja. News Central's Joshua Marayi has the details in this report.
It was an oversight visit by lawmakers from Nigeria's House of Representatives Committee on Financial Crimes to the headquarters of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission in the nation's capital, Abuja. While acknowledging the Commission's pivotal role in fighting graft, the chairman of the House Committee called for a clear commitment to accountability, saying that it is crucial to maintaining public confidence and achieving meaningful change in the nation's economic trajectory.
Honestly, in trying to assist the government in taking our economy out of the dead woods, EFCC must ensure transparency and accountability in its operation. The negative maxim being peddled in certain quarters that the agency is often being used to settle political scores must be made to be incorrect and appropriate by the EFCC themselves. Our committee is ready to support the EFCC in any way we can, by laws and by appropriations, to see the efficient performance of EFCC.
While addressing the delegation, the chairman of the EFCC says that the commission has witnessed a significant increase in the agency's workload.
We have several cases filed in court, apart from the conviction, running to thousands. In the last 1 year, we have received over 17,000 petitions here in EFCC alone, over 17,000. And right now, as I'm talking to you, we are investigating over 20,000 cases. Between last year, October, and now, we have opened new cases, case files of 4,000, of over 4,800. And what is our staff strength? We are less than 5,000.
He also added that non-implementation of capital projects, despite funds being already disbursed, is one of the critical challenges affecting the nations.
If you see some of the investigation we are carrying out within the power sector, you will shed tears. People who are awarded contracts to supply reclaim, instead of them using what they call 90-point-something gauge, they will go and buy 5-point-something gauge. So every time you see the thing tripping off, the thing get burnt and all of that, we are investigating all that. Collapses. That's part of our problems.
The EFCC chairman says that the commission is working tirelessly to foster a conducive environment for foreign direct investment to flourish, thus its onslaught against corruption. In Abuja for News Central, I am Joshua Imarai.
We'll go for a quick break. When we come back, we'll take a look at the story, Abia to prosecute parents for non-enrollment of children in school. Do stay with us. And let's head now to Borno State. Nigeria's National Human Rights Commission has inaugurated the Borno State Working Group on Business and Human Rights with the aim of promoting responsible business practices that respect and upholds human rights. Civil society organizations, government officials, security operatives, and development partners who are part of the working group are to chart a way forward on how best to promote responsible business practices that respect and uphold human rights in the state. The state government, on its part, appreciated the initiative by the National Human Rights Commission, which it believes would go a long way in addressing issues of human rights violation.
This is an important milestone for Borno State as we continue our collective efforts to promote responsible business practices that respect and uphold human rights. The journey we are on today began with a deep commitment to aligning Nigeria's business environment with international human rights standards. Through extensive consultations involving the National Human Rights Commission, relevant government agencies, civil society organizations, and development partners, we succeeded in the adoption of the National Action Plan on Business and Human Rights, which was adopted by the Federal Executive Council in April 2023. The National Action Plan provides a comprehensive national legal and policy framework that promotes and protects human rights within business operations, generally to encourage good business practices, responsible business practices across the country.
This initiative marks a significant step forward in our commitment to fostering a sustainable and equitable business environment that respects and upholds human rights as we rebuild our dear state. As we gather in this resilient state, we are reminded of the challenges we have faced and the strengths we have shown in overcoming them. The partnership between the public and private sector is essential in creating opportunities for all, ensuring that our economic growth does not come at the expenses of our fundamental rights.
Let's now go to education matters. Abia State government has vowed to sanction parents and guardians who fail to enroll their children and wards in school henceforth. Commissioner for Information in the state, Oke Kanu, says people should no longer have any reason for leaving the children of school age to roam the streets, since the state runs free tuition in public schools. News Central's Chingo Gele reports that the commissioner announced this while briefing journalists in Umuahia.
Primary and junior secondary education in public schools in Abia State is free but attracts low patronage.
Since the governor has announced that there is no payment of school fees or anything, we don't know why they still like to take their children to that to private school.
I am at Amuzuku Primary School 1 and 2. Behind me is School 1 and by my right is School 2. Now the buildings inside this place are dilapidated and need urgent attention, in terms of reconstruction and of course equipment needed in the classrooms. This might have also discouraged parents from enrolling their children in these public schools despite the free education that the state government has promised. Abia State government has now announced plans to punish families that keep children in their custody out of school.
So as from the 1st of January 2025, when this policy will fully come into effect, defaulting parents will be prosecuted under that law. This, of course, is part of the reforms that are ongoing in the state's educational sector.
On a normal school day in recent times, it's hard to see children who are not in school roam the streets, but there are those whose parents stop from going to school some days in order to help run errands.
Unfortunately, you and I can see that during school hours, despite the free education that's been announced by the state government, you still see these children on the streets. I think there is need for policymakers to begin to do what you call an oversight function, maybe raise up technical committees to look at the issues affecting the non-implementation of those things.
The Child's Right Act of 2003 guarantees the right to education for minors. Stakeholders and parents agree that part of the best protection one can give a child is to ensure they have basic education.
Children, if the parents don't have money to train them or to send them to school, so what they have to do is to go and learn something, to go and learn handworking.
It's high time that we all stood up as individuals, as stakeholders, as governments, to see how best we can protect the rights of these children, their access to education, quality health care.
Their relatives or any person they take care of.
Until government comes to the aid of these schools by ensuring that the infrastructure are top-notch as what we see in private schools, parents might still be discouraged from enrolling their children in such schools. In Umuahia for News Central, I am Chinwe Ugele.
All the way from that, real estate and housing development experts in Nigeria have called for more effort in fishing out corrupt building experts in the country. They say this will reduce recurring cases of building collapses, which has become a source of worry in recent times. News Central's Emmanuel Bagudu reports.
Building collapse and demolition are two perennial problems affecting Nigeria's real estate sector. Many experts say this has become a major problem that needs to be solved. At this real estate conference holding in Nigeria's capital, Abuja, experts also blame the challenge of recording building collapse to corruption in the sector.
Ikoyi collapse was investment of, I don't have the figure, but if you ask me, that investment must be more than 10 billion naira. So it's more than that, it's more than 10 billion.
About
100 billion. You know, this is a value I'm talking. 100 billion. So it's a colossal waste. And if you count the number of such collapses happening in Nigeria today, we may be losing actually more than a trillion to that colossal waste. And most importantly, life.
You cannot put the lives of Nigerians at stake and expect to go scot-free. And that's why we as professionals are insisting that when people actually make the wrong things and cause this collapse that affect lives, people should pay dearly for it.
Somebody gives you 100 bags of cement to do a particular work. You shortchange the person by using 20 bags and selling the other 80 bags. What do you expect? Building collapse.
While demolition of houses and its effects on house owners remain one of the most challenging problems in the sector, some of them believe government is not getting its approach right.
And you know the cost of providing housing. I believe that there should be inclusion, there should be incorporation in terms of before you consider doing demolitions. Some of these houses were built to standard. Some of the times the regulatory organizations were around when they were building these houses.
A man who has no roof over his head is a menace to the society, as well as the society a menace to that same man. So we feel terribly bad, especially those of us in FCT, that buildings that cost millions of naira to erect are pulled down for reasons best known to government, which of course none of those reasons are acceptable to us.
The International Real Estate Conference and Exhibition is expected to provide solutions to the various challenges in the sector. In Abuja for News Central, I am Emmanuel Bagudu.
Coming up next, unemployment rate dips under South Africa's coalition government. We have details of this story. Stay with us. Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has assured residents of the Federal Capital that the Saburi 1 and 2 roads located at the Abuja Municipal Area Council will be completed by December this year. During an inspection of the ongoing construction works at the location, he said the federal government will continue to provide the dividends of good governance to citizens and more. Amadine Uyi reports.
It was a visit to the construction site of the Saburi 1 and 2 roads located within the Abuja Municipal Area Council. The Minister of the FCT, Nyesom Wike, says that the construction works is testament to government's commitment to delivering on good governance.
Provision of infrastructure and other things are all inclusive about governance. Providing security is also governance. Making sure that people have quality education is also part of governance. Being transparent is also part of good governance. So governance is inclusive of provision-based infrastructure, being transparent, providing quality of education. All this we are doing as part of good governance.
After inspecting the project, he assured that it will be completed by December this year.
Still insist that this road will be completed by December, save for the new bridge, which was not initially in the plan of work. It was covered before, but during the last rainy season, there was a bad flood. And so we have to upgrade it to a bridge. And so they are saying that to complete that bridge will take them next 2 months. But for the road, yes, they insist that to be completed by this December.
The Saburi 1 and 2 roads are expected to decongest traffic from the popular day-day building materials markets in the FCT. In Abuja for News Central, I am.
Data showed on Tuesday that South Africa's unemployment rate fell in the 3 months after the formation of a coalition government that has boosted business confidence and led to hopes for more progress on economic reform. Statistics South Africa figures showed that the official unemployment rate fell to 32.1% in the third quarter of 2024, from 33.5% in the second quarter, the first time the official rate had fallen in a year. The number of employed people rose by 294,000, while the number of unemployed decreased by 373,000 during the quarter. Unemployment gains were recorded in community and social services as well as in construction, trade, mining and transport sectors. This is the first decline in joblessness since the third quarter of 2023, when the unemployment rate stood at 31.9%. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer launches what he calls a capital market mechanism aimed at encouraging private finance to ramp up green investments in poorer countries. According to him, the move shows the UK's commitment to be one of the world's climate leaders. Starmer said this while speaking at a roundtable meeting with global finance leaders at the COP29 Climate Change Conference in Baku, Azerbaijan.
To launch today this capital market mechanism, part of course of the climate investment funds, and located and listed, and I'm proud to say, in London, and so it's a special moment for us. This initiative, which is of course mobilising private finance to go alongside public, is at the heart of our shared challenge in the fight against climate change. We will all need to be innovative, and I think that's a theme of this COP, innovative and ambitious in meeting the scale of what is needed. Public finance on its own will not be enough, and I think that's a really important part of our messaging and our challenge. And we need to break down the blockers so we can unlock private finance, and that means working together. First, to match national plans and projects to international finance. London, of course, is one of the world's greatest financial centres. It's already playing an important part in scaling up green finance. I want us to be bolder, and I see London as the green finance capital of the world, retaining and reinforcing its #1 ranking in the Global Green Finance Index. And this mechanism today is an important part of that, to make good on the UK's commitment to be one of the world's climate leaders, and most importantly, to finance.
News Central's Bettina Whaley is in Baku and now joins me live for the updates. Thank you for being here, Bettina. First off, how is Azerbaijan?
Thank you for having me. Azerbaijan is fine. Right now where we are, it's about 11 degrees, so it is freezing coming from Nigeria. But the COP continues irrespective, and I have somebody here who will give us a brief overview of how Nigeria is participating in the COP. I have Mr. Leslie Adogame. Dr. Leslie Adogame, please join us this morning, sir. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right, sir. Can you give us an overview of how Nigeria is participating in the COP? Now, we remember last year promises were made to end fossil fuels and to also end gas flaring. How far or how well do you think Nigeria has done in that regard?
All right. Thank you very much. I think specifically to this question, we are making progress, I would say, but it's not so good enough. Because if you look at feedback we're getting from other countries that have made the same commitment, it's been very progressive. But in the case of Nigeria, the process is quite slow. But there's some level of commitment which we can see. We would really want to see a drastic reduction in gas flaring. Again, this is a climate finance. What do I mean? this is where decisions on what countries are going to get. If you can essentially cut down your carbon, then what kind of financing that will come to the global south, like Nigeria? Nigeria is a high priority because of our oil and gas, relationship. Now, to get this finance is hugely dependent on to the extent to which you cut your greenhouse gases. You keep to your commitment. So they are following this as well. It shouldn't be a surprise at the end of the day if we end up not getting something reasonable. Why? Because our commitment to cut is not so progressive. That's one. Well, the climate change is, I'll tell you, is I use the one word, conundrum, right? I use that word because it's multifaceted. It's highly political, even though it has environment, political, and other dimensions, But essentially, you have to play the global politics as well. You don't just go cap in hand. But there's an area we are making progress. In the area of low methane, we are making very good progress. We are trying to stay to our action plan of 2030 commitments to cut at least 50% of our short-lived climate pollutants. That's a good one. There's an opportunity there. We are also making progress in the area of waste management. When I say waste management, with regards to low methane, the Lagos State government is making very, very important giant step in this regard because, these are opportunities. So I would, in a nutshell, say on one area we are very slow when it comes to the aspect of oil and gas. Of course, you can understand it's our mainstay, but we made some commitments. It's not fast enough. But in the area of low methane and other short-lived, climate pollutant, a lot of progress is being made. And that was why you saw yesterday the DG was on the high table, making some strong statements. So we have potential. We have a chance of getting some financing from this sector. What I would simply say is it should be an issue of comparative kind of advantage. Let's build more strength in an area we are very sure we can get some support than really, but for oil and gas, I'm sorry.
All right, sir. Before I let you go, you have a side event coming up later this afternoon, and it's in regard to zero waste. Can you tell us how you intend or how you think Nigeria intends to get to that level of zero waste? If we use Lagos as a case study, we know that Lagos is swimming in a lot of waste that has not yet been, dug into to actually get potential or to, get money from the waste. So what do you propose, sir?
I tell you, this is an area, that's why we're having this side event. And I just mentioned, this is a very potential area for us right now. Lagos State Waste Management Plan is very, very, very strategic. The action plan is very robust and has a potential. And that's why Lagos, on behalf of Nigeria, is participating in the Global Methane Partnership Group to lower methane, from that. But however, there's a twist to this, and if we are not careful, we'll lose it all. Currently, while we are making progress in that area, which is why we want to have the side event, you also see a turnaround along the line where some investors are trying to woo the Lagos State government to go the way of incineration. Incinerating organic waste is not the way to go. That's why we are trying to say zero waste approach, because if you, I tell you it's global politics as well. The same people you are trying to ask for financing from, for example, World Bank will not finance incinerators. Incinerators are not known to deliver any sustainable waste management, results. They are basically bad practices all over the world. Even developed countries where they've been implemented, they are moving away. So there are now very sustainable ways, approaches, especially that has to do with zero waste, which Lagos State is, I think Lagos State just signed a contract with Zoom Lion, one of the biggest giants in Ghana. That's the way to go. That's the way to go. We are encouraging that. We want to promote that. The issue of MROF, alternatives to waste, to organic waste. You cannot incinerate organic waste that is more than 50% water. You are still using fossil fuel. That's not the way to go. The developed countries, those who want to defund us, are also watching. If you miss it, then Lagos will miss out as well.
Thank you very much, sir, for your time. You've heard it from Dr. Leslie. Zero waste is what we'll be looking at this afternoon. And I also have information that later in the day, the NLC will be having a side event with the International Labour Organization. And be sure that News Central will be there to cover it and bring it to your table.
For the updates, we'll definitely come back to you in the course of our news programming. And let's go straight to business, having that interesting conversation with Bettina Whaley. Well, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited's Group Chief Executive Officer, Millie Kyari, has disclosed that Nigeria is no longer importing refined petroleum products and is now off-taking fuel from the Dangote Petroleum Refinery and other local refineries. Sequel to that, Major Energies Marketers Association in Nigeria also revealed that the estimated landing cost of premium motor spirits, commonly known as petrol, on Nigeria's shores has reduced to 971.57 naira per litre. New Central Business Desk went to the streets to track the reactions of Nigerians on these. Take a look.
Nigeria has ended the importation of refined petroleum products and has instead started sourcing the commodity at home from the Dangote Petroleum Refinery and other local facilities. Incidentally, the Major Energies Marketers Association recently announced that the estimated landing cost of petrol has dropped to about 971 naira 57 kobo from 1,219 naira per litre, representing a 20.34% reduction over the past 3 months. These reflect a pivotal shift in the value chain for Nigeria's fuel. But how do Nigerians feel about it?
It is not all about saying it in the televisions. How far have they gone in implementation? If you are sorting individually, you are going to sell according to what you buy. So there's nothing like price control.
It's a very good news. Kudos to the Nigerian government and the oil sector. But what is paramount and important is that the government of the day must be very sincere with whatever policies they are making.
Nigeria is hoping to save 24 trillion naira annually from ending fuel imports while also making the commodity affordable. However, consumers seem to harbor skepticism if the new option of buying locally will provide the much-needed relief.
What's happening in Nigeria today is a kind of film trick. It's film trick. What we hear is different from what is happening. Those that build their refinery outside will never allow that to happen. Why? Because there will be a shortage. Very big shortage. They won't allow it to happen.
Why people are casting aspersions on it is because when they take a look at the previous statements of government, so you see that it becomes difficult for people to believe if actually what government wants to do is for the benefit of the masses or if it is for their personal aggrandizement.
Citizens say, aside the rhetoric, players in the industry should explore other options that can bring about more equitable benefits.
The only thing we are thinking that Dangote should do to suppress this NNPC issue is the way they subsidize filling station then. Dangote should as well go outside and meet all those dealer developers. Let him subsidize all those filling stations, put his name, and he'll be selling in the fair pump. You will see that the price will not come down.
Nigeria needs to diversify other sources of making money for the people. If all the attention is focused on petrol, we may not get where we want to go.
As consumers await potential changes in retail prices of petrol, the evolving trends in Nigeria's oil markets continue to create uncertainties around its affordability and if it will ultimately improve the values of doing business in Nigeria and the standard of living. In Lagos for News Central, Lekon Olabanjo.
And in sports, the Super Eagles had their first full training session last night ahead of Friday's Africa Cup of Nations qualifier against Benin Republic in Abidjan, Côte d'Ivoire. The session featured 22 out of the 23 invited players, and according to the team officials, the Eagles will have their first official session at the match venue Houphouët-Boigny Stadium, Abidjan today. The Cheetahs of Benin Republic will host the Super Eagles at the stadium on Friday as the Eagles need a point to join the list of qualified teams for Africa's top football championship. Leading Group D with 10 points, the Eagles need a draw to seal its passage to Morocco. On the other hand, Benin Republic must win the remainder of their games to qualify. After Friday's game in Abidjan, the Super Eagles will return to Uyo for their final encounter of the qualifying series against Rwanda. And that's all the news we have for you for this hour. But before we go, let's quickly take a look at some of the top stories. The HQ is moving to stop Lukarawa's recruitment drive. Appeal Court has set up special panel to address River State political cases. Hearing begins this Thursday. We also told you that unemployment rate has dipped under South Africa's coalition government. You can watch News Central live on DSTV, Channel 422, Star Times, Channel 274, Avo TV, and stream live on YouTube. Stay with us as we have more programs coming your way. I'm Joe Hanson. Good morning.